Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at 3 more Pokemon cards that will never, ever be reprinted. Cards which are ending up being so gosh darn good that I don't think Pokemon are ever going to bring them back. Just a quick reminder, I am doing a whole week off where I'm not making new videos and actually spending a week with my family, so if you guys could all be lovely and watch a couple of extra videos this week, share this one round a bit. I'm doing 1 video a day, so it would really help me out right now this week, if I'm honest with you. That would make me a very happy wassy. So let's start with Battle Compressor, shall we? And look, I know I've talked about Battle Compressor a bunch lately. I made a video predicting it would be banned, and incidentally, I stand by that prediction. I do think Battle Compressor will be banned. In Expanded, obviously it's rotated long ago in Standard. But regardless of whether it gets banned or not, I think it's pretty gosh darn clear that Pokemon have absolutely no interest in ever giving us another copy of Battle Compressor. It's a card which is too good, and that's the point of these videos. I haven't done one of these for a little while. The whole point is showing you cards where Pokemon have basically told us, you know what, we've rethought this, that card's too good, we're not going to do that again. Now, Battle Compressor is an item card that lets you search your deck for any free cards and discard them. And it's absolutely nuts. Now, of course, this came out in Phantom Forces, and the reason to use it in Phantom Forces was for Night March. Night March was one of those decks, and we've seen a few, that does damage depending on the number of a certain kind of Pokemon in your discard pile. In this case, your Pokemon that have Night March. So what you would basically do is just use Battle Compressor to bin stuff like Lampent. Lampent is a stage 1, and Litwick didn't have Night March, so you wouldn't play it, and Lampent couldn't attack for 1 energy, really. I mean, it kind of could, but shh. So you would just bin these with Battle Compressor early, and Battle Compressor gave so much speed to decks like this, it's a little bit silly. We saw Battle Compressor being an absolute beast in decks like Blastoise, which, not for nothing, won the World Championships, because we had cards like Archie's Ace in the Hole. And Archie's Ace in the Hole, when you play it as a supporter card, lets you, as long as it is, of course, the only card in your hand, play a water Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench and draw 5 cards. So you could play Blastoise straight from your discard onto your bench and draw 5 cards, even though Blastoise is a stage 2. So you could, super early in the game, just Archies for a Blastoise, accelerate energy usually to a Keldeo or something like that, and just start absolutely smashing. And the problem was this was a really awkward way to actually go about playing, but it turned not awkward, and the large reason was Battle Compressor. You needed Blastoise in the discard pile, Battle Compressor would do it. Now, Archie's Ace in the Hole you could draw into it, but what you would often do is play a couple copies of it, and you would have one that you kept in your deck and one you discarded with Battle Compressor. So now, if you drew an Archie's, you had an Archie's, but if you drew a Versus Seeker, you had an Archie's. And then, of course, you could discard cards like Execute, which you could put into your hand from the discard, so then when you were playing things like Ultra Ball, Computer Search, etc., you could basically, well, fix it a little bit. If you only wanted to discard 1 card from your hand to empty your hand, you get 1 Execute back. If you want to discard no cards from your hand, you get 2 Execute back. If you want to discard 2 to empty your hand so you can play Archies, you don't use any Execute and you just discard from your hand. So Battle Compressor has always been making these decks more and more consistent. And I've been talking for a long time. Before I made this video the other day about it probably being banned, at least as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be, but I don't actually make the decisions, as weird as that might sound. But I've been talking for a while about the fact that it is arguably too good. Well, I think the biggest reason why we can say with some certainty it's never coming back is we saw these V-Union the other day. Now, these V-Union, really good cards. You've got to get all 4 parts in the discard pile, and then you can play them from the discard onto the bench when all 4 parts are in the discard. And obviously, Battle Compressor is going to help. We've had this discussion before. The difference is they released Professor Burnett. And Professor Burnett is very similar to Battle Compressor with 2 important differences. Difference number 1, it only lets you search your deck for 2 cards and discard, rather than the 3 that Battle Compressor does. And reason number 2, it's a supporter card. So what Pokemon have basically gone and done is printed a supporter card which is 2/3 of a battle compressor, which is an item card. That is not a worse version of it. That is not a nerfed version of it. That is just basically Pokemon saying, yeah, you know what? Battle Compressor's way too good. And the thing is, there's always going to be new combos. A card like Battle Compressor is so adaptable and so good, it's always going to lead to new people finding new ways to just make it far too good. And I've explained some of the reasons why it's so gosh darn good, but I think we can look at Professor Burnett here and go, well, hang on a second. If we've now got a significantly worse version of this card, and it's been printed as a supporter card, I think that's fair to say that Battle Compressor is gone, and it is never coming back. Another one which has only really occurred to me quite recently is Let Loose. Now, when I talk about Let Loose, there are in fact a couple of different Pokemon I could mention here. We've got the Giratina from Platinum that has Let Loose, or we could look about the Marshadow from Shining Fates that has Let Loose. Either of them could be used because they've got the same ability, and when I say the card's not coming back, what I really mean is the ability is never coming back. Now, Let Loose as an ability says that when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may have each player shuffle their hand into their decks and draw 4 cards. Basically, it's Judge, but it's Judge as an ability on a basic Pokemon. And that, incidentally, is the big reason why this is a problem. This ability on a basic Pokemon, it's too good. You can't have this ability on a basic Pokemon. It's too gosh darn good. Because like nowadays, they've literally gone and changed the rules about turn 1 supporters. So you cannot, if you go first, on turn 1, you are not allowed to play a supporter card. It's not allowed to do it. Which means you cannot go first on turn 1 and play a Judge. Remember, Judge is getting reprinted soon. Or you cannot go first on turn 1 and play a Marnie or things of that nature. You're not allowed. But you can Let Loose. And the problem with something like Let Loose is you go second, your opponent has their turn, and instead of starting with a 6-card hand, we would generally expect you to start with a 6-card hand. That is on the assumption that you draw your 7-card hand, there's 1 basic and you go. Not guaranteed, you might have multiple basics. If you bench 4 basics and you've got a 3-card hand, clearly Let Loose would give you an extra card and that would be lovely. But generally speaking, you're expecting start of about a 6-card hand. So all of a sudden, your opponent drops Let Loose, and you're starting with a 4-card hand. But it's not just that you're starting with a 4-card hand. It's that turn 1 is the prime turn to play cards like Crobat and Dedenne, your basic draw Pokemon. So you'll play a Crobat or a Dedenne, you might have to play a Quick Ball to find them, but not all the time, obviously, but a lot of the time this is a turn 1 plan. Because turn 1, you want to get set up, you want to get your basics down, you want to get set up for the future, get your energy on the board, etc., etc. Turn 1 is important. So turn 1 is the worst time to have this happen. Turn 1 is the absolute worst time to be sitting there with a 4-card hand and no options. And sure, you might have a Dedenne, Crobat, Quick Ball, etc. in hand after a Let Loose, but I'm saying it is far less likely that you will. No, it's not guaranteed that you won't, but it's far less likely that you will, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is my point. It's going to ruin turn 1, which is going to ruin you for the rest of the game. A lot of people nowadays, and I'm very much one of them, enjoy playing the Cinccino from Sword and Shield once during your turn, discard a card from your hand, draw 2 cards. But you cannot play Cinccino if you don't get Minccino down turn 1, and that is going to be far less likely after a Let Loose. And the thing is, this is another situation where I can look at this and go, well, hang on a second. Pokemon have basically, again, admitted that Let Loose is a bit of a mistake. When Marshadow was everywhere, people hated it. Now, people that played it loved it. But a lot of people hated it because, and this happened to me many, 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 many times, turn 1, I'm sitting there with a 4-card hand because my opponent used Let Loose, and I draw nothing and lose. And we know that Pokemon don't like this because Pokemon keep banning cards that are a problem in this regard. Well, the reason we know that Let Loose is never coming back, despite the fact we've had it twice in the past, is because we saw Feeble the other day. There is a new Feeble which has come along in the most recent set in Japan, in Blue Sky Stream, Skyscraping Perfect, that double set, what's going to be Evolving Skies over here. And that Feeble basically has Let Loose. Now, it makes you put your hand on the bottom of your deck rather than shuffle it into your deck, but it is, when you evolve into it, both players shuffle a hand and put the hands on the bottom of the deck, and both players draw 4 cards. It is the new version of Let Loose. And it's on a Stage 1 Pokemon. And you can still do this with an ability, and you can still use Scoop Up Net to pick it up and then re-evolve it in the future and reuse it. You can still have access to this ability through the game, but the reason why Feeble is okay is because you're talking about a Stage 1 Pokemon. And that's the difference. Pokemon saw how much people were complaining about Marshadow. It was a lot. So what they've gone and done is gone, well, okay, we like this ability, but it's not good enough on a basic, or it's too good on a basic, I suppose. Let's go and pop it on a Stage 1. And now the biggest issue with Let Loose, the biggest issue, of course, always being that if you go second, your opponent can do this turn 1, and that sucks, isn't an option. No one's playing, as far as I'm aware, and correct me in the comment section if I'm mistaken, there is no mechanism for actually doing this on turn 1. You can't play a turn 1 Feeble. And that is absolutely fine by me, ladies and gentlemen. That seems to work pretty gosh darn nicely. And the final card, which I don't think is ever coming back, and this is the one I am least sure about, but I am planting my flag in the ground right now and saying, double Colorless Energy, it's not coming back. Now, this is a weird one to say because for a very long time, this was true. Double Colorless Energy came around initially in the base set, in the very first set of the Pokemon trading card game. It was absolutely brilliant, saw a huge amount of play in a huge amount of decks, got rotated out, and we didn't see it again till February 2010 with the release of Heart Gold Soul Silver. It was gone for years. Many, many years. And the thing is, I don't think it's coming back. I know it came back once, but I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I think we've had our double Colorless Energy reprint. I don't think it's ever going to come back again. Now, when it came back in Heart Gold Soul Silver, it immediately transformed the game. Because what it basically did was break Garchomp C-Level X. For those that don't remember, Garchomp C-Level X had the rather ridiculous Dragon Rush attack that for free energy, you had to discard 2 of them, and you dealt 80 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. But it was really good for picking off weak bench Pokemon that were everywhere at the time. Plus, you know, Garchomp C was a big Pokemon at 110. This was a great attack. But we did also at the time have Energy Gain, so Energy Gain was basically a tool that reduced the cost of SP Pokemon by 1 energy, so you could get a Garchomp C-Level X with no energy, Energy Gain, double Colorless, KO. It was amazing. But the thing is, it stuck around for a while. We got a double Colorless Energy reprint in Sun and Moon. So it wasn't like Pokemon printed it and then had second thoughts and went, oh, I don't know, maybe that's a bit too good. It got printed like over and over again. Since we got that print in the Heart Gold Soul Silver base set, we have had it reprinted in 10 different sets. 10 sets have had double Colorless Energy in since Heart Gold Soul Silver. We're not talking about an occasional reprint, we're talking about a card that was reprinted over and over again. So why don't I think it's coming back? And the reason essentially is there are too many times double Colorless Energy ends up being too good. The last print we had of it was actually in Shining Legends, and that's interesting to me because Shining Legends was the set that brought us Zoroark GX. one of the most recent Pokemon that really made use of this. Because for 2 energy, you did 20 damage for each of your Pokemon in play, so 120 for 2 energy with the awesome ability. It was great. It really was an amazing card. The thing is, it was a GX. And we saw this over and over again. It was the big cards like Garchomp C-Level X, like Zoroark GX, that really made the best use of this and arguably made it a little bit unfair. So what have Pokemon been doing lately? They've been printing cards like Twin Energy. And Twin Energy, again, what I'm doing in this particular iteration of this video is I am looking for cards where Pokemon have basically shown us that they've changed their mind and don't want these cards back. And Twin Energy is proof that Pokemon don't want double colorless energy back. Because Twin Energy is double colorless energy, but not for Pokemon V or Pokemon GX. Now, if this was printed nowadays, I rather suspect it would say Rule Box, because obviously in the future there's going to be another kind of Pokemon and Twin Energy would work with them. And it's not like Pokemon hate multiple energy. We saw triple acceleration energy, but it was only on evolved Pokemon, and it only lasted for a turn. Recently, we've seen Rapid Strike Energy, which is a double energy fighting water, but only for Rapid Strike Pokemon. But I think the difference here is, Pokemon, when they print things like this, can be far more certain that they're not going to inadvertently make a Pokemon that shouldn't be way, way better. And that's the problem with double colorless energy. It's the kind of thing that should be helping your single prizes and things of that nature, but it ends up coming out and being way too good for the chase cards that really don't need the help. And the fact that we've got stuff like Twin Energy really makes me think double colorless is just never coming back. So that's what I think, ladies and gentlemen, but I'd love to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.